I didn't want to start a family. I thought I couldn't. I hid my pregnancy for 8 months. I worked my last wedding 36 weeks pregnant. I'm a creative. I don't like schedules. I don't like routine. The schedule it gave me freedom. Like, I want my daughter to see an example of a woman who can support herself, a woman who is dependent, a woman who does work hard. It's okay also for your why in life to change.
Hustlers, we do it all. Rise up strong even when we fall. Dreams in our hands, love in our hearts. This is where the journey starts.
Welcome to Baby Bump and Business, the podcast for creative moms growing a baby and a brand at the same time. I'm your host, B. Troford Wilson, photographer, educator, and first-time mom to be, sharing the real unfiltered journey of pregnancy, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be joined by a fellow creative mom to talk about the beauty, the burnout, and the balance of it all. So let's get into it. Today's guest is Vanessa Joy. Since 2002, Vanessa has been photographing luxury weddings and corporate marketing initiatives and educating photographers worldwide. She focuses her business in New Jersey, New York City, and Austin, Texas, but travels 150 plus days a year for photography. Vanessa is a highly sought after industry leading photographer in the wedding, business, and portrait space. Vanessa, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is going to be such a fun conversation.
I'm so excited to dive into it. So, for someone like you who has built such a thriving and a busy business, what was your thought process when thinking about wanting to start a family in the midst of all of that?
I didn't want to start a family. I thought I couldn't. I honestly, I thought I couldn't. I before I got married, I was like, yeah, I want to have kids. And then I got married, and then my career started taking off. And then I was like, wait, there's no way I could have kids. Like, it's just not happening. And I would joke around. People would be like, oh, so when are you having kids? You having kids? And I'd be holding a glass of alcohol and be like, not today. I just didn't think it was possible. So my first was I'm not gonna say a whoopsie, but like a little whoopsie, and unplanned. So it was shocking. It was super shocking, but it wasn't until a friend of mine. It was actually before I was pregnant. Wasn't until a friend of mine told me about the different types of support I could have that I finally was like, oh, I guess maybe I can make this work.
Mm. So, would you say, so after having, I want to say your accident, but after finding out that you were pregnant, what was your initial thought process now that you're about to grow a baby and you still have this business that's running at full speed?
I hid it. I hid my pregnancy for 8 months because I was so scared that I would lose my business. I would lose my career, especially at that time. I was really 95% in the wedding world. And I had had conversations with I remember this mother of the bride called me and she's like, hey, Vanessa, I'm just checking in. You aren't pregnant by chance, are you? And I wasn't at the time. She's like, oh. I'm like, no. Why? She's like, oh, well, because the makeup artist is pregnant and it's ruining everything. I'm like, okay. And I also had another client that came in and great combination. She was like a referral or collaboration because she was a referral from another previous client. I think it was actually like the sister of a previous client. And she's like, well, Vanessa, like, I want to hire you, but you've been married for about 3 years now, and you'll probably be starting a family soon. So I'm just scared you're going to end up getting pregnant, like on my wedding day, and then not be able to come to my wedding. So, like, I had had some encounters with people in the wedding industry, clients that were flat out like, how dare you?
Right.
Like, don't think about it.
Right.
So when I finally got pregnant, I was like, my God. So I hid it. I didn't announce it until I was 8 months pregnant. I worked my last wedding 36 weeks pregnant, and I had her at 41 and a half, I think. But yeah. So that's how I did it. I didn't tell a soul because I was too scared to.
And the scary thing is, so even for me, I didn't start telling people until about 7.5 when I started really,
Mhm.
really showing where it was
You can't hide it.
noticeable, where it's like
You
I
can't
can't hide it anymore.
you can't hold the jacket in front of you.
Right. It's like, oh, there actually is something there. And
Mhm.
it's one of those things where sadly, like even till this day, you still have those fears of having those conversations. Because I've even had conversations with clients where it's like, so do you have kids? And it's like, no, it's like, okay, so you will be more flexible so I can hire you for more projects. And
Yes.
it's like, why is that even the
Yes.
thought process? Like
It's
we
just
can still balance it all.
It's so not okay, and it's a stigma, and, maybe, stigmas always come from something, right? Yes, do some people who are career women have babies and decide, "You know what? Screw this. I wanna be at home?" Sure, but it's like it's just that initial vote of non-confidence in you when you say you have kids. That's why I don't really talk about my kids online even that much either, to this day.
Right. And it's sad that you have to do that, right? It's sad that that's
It is
something
sad.
where you have to think ahead or try to think for the client and protect your business about hiding your pregnancy or hiding that you have children or multiple children at that, you know? So so you said your last wedding you were 36 weeks. How was that for you physically? Because I've been struggling.
Yeah. I have to say my first pregnancy, physically, I was fine. I was super fit. I was doing spin classes up to, like, 39 weeks. I was really into it, but my second kid, like, we just don't have that kind of motivation anymore, like, or just time because now I got this other little one that I'm running around and still trying to do the business, and you manage your time very differently, but I was not as physically fit. That one, I did a wedding 3 days before I gave birth, I think something along those lines, because I delivered early. I was at 37 weeks with him. So yeah, it killed me. It killed me for sure. I had to, like, go sit down, like, I couldn't take it anymore. And to be super frank, like, I just didn't give a crap anymore at that, like, your energy to, like, care at that when you're, like, ready to bust it's a real thing you have to push through and work through.
Right. So, as a business owner, when you found out that you were pregnant, what was your thought process in terms of how am I going to structure my maternity leave? Did you have any plans for that, or what were things you started to put in place to be able to prepare for that?
My first, I was super, "This is not gonna change my life. The baby will work around my schedule." I went snowboarding 3 weeks after giving birth because that's just what was in the calendar. We were going to Canada, so I got on a snowboard. But it really ended up shooting me in the foot for a couple reasons. One, it's just like, let's make me more exhausted, as if it wasn't hard enough being up all night with the baby. And secondly, you know what? I I don't ever get that time back, right? Like, you don't ever get that newborn phase back. So, you might as well, like, try to give yourself that time. That being said, by the time my kid was 4 weeks old, I was definitely or even less than that, probably 3 weeks old, I was holding with one hand, breastfeeding, and, like, on my computer.
Work still had to happen, you know?
Yeah. Yep,
So,
it does.
so after your first, when would you say was the first time you actually went back into shooting after having your first?
It was somewhere around the 3-month mark. So I had winter babies, both of them, which I was really blessed, to have that. So it's again, I was heavy in weddings at that time. That's not really wedding season. So I don't think I shot a wedding until at least like 3 or 4 months with my first. I remember it being around that time because I was pumping in the car, like, while I was driving.
And so how was that adjustment? You know, when we're talking about transitioning into motherhood, there's so much that comes with it, right? It's not just now I have this new being, it's now I'm nursing or now I'm pumping and I have to now add this into my schedule while I'm working. How were you able
Yes.
to manage that and even mentally, how were you able to get through that?
I just thought about, like, okay, I know a typical wedding day because that's a long day. A photo shoot, whatever, like the smaller things, even the corporate stuff I did, headshots, whatever at the time, a little bit more reasonable. Wedding day, that's moving without you, one way or the other. Thankfully, most of the weddings I had at that time were like, we get ready here, then we travel to the church, then we travel to the reception hall or to the photo collection, and then to the reception hall. So I had these pumps where it's like I didn't have to have my boobs out. It was just they were rounded and they just kind of like went in and they collected. So while I drove, I would have those on, or a couple of the weddings, I hired an assistant so that she could drive while I did that. And whatever time I was driving for, that's how long I pumped for, and then kept the cooler, and then during, like, the reception, I was able to, like, "Okay, I'm gonna hide, while they're eating dinner, I'm gonna go pump. While they're all drunk on the dance floor, I'm gonna go pump because 'cause I've got another photographer covering that anyway." Things like
Right.
that.
And it's crazy even I know I'm sure even reminiscing on all these things where it's like all the adjustments you have to make while going through this, and a lot of a lot of women aren't given the grace to see how strong they are to be able to balance both of those things, especially
Yeah,
while shooting weddings when you're on your feet. It's nothing that you're sitting down and just like, oh no, like weddings are so demanding of your time, your energy, and your work.
they are. They really, really are. I'm happy I made it work, but it also, because you aren't pumping regularly, my supply went down and I ended up having to not give in to formula. I don't think it's like horrible or anything, but not being able to only breastfeed as long as I wanted to.
Right. Gotcha. So going into being an entrepreneur and the business side of it, what were things that you had to start implementing in your business now that you have children and now that you're trying to balance motherhood and this business as well?
It was a schedule. I'm a creative. I don't like schedules. I don't like routine. And especially again, the first kid, it was like, no, they're gonna be accustomed to my lifestyle. But the truth is the schedule like it gave me freedom. So if I was able to train my kid. I hate to say that, it's like they're not a dog. Like, but if I'm able to anticipate the schedule when my kid is going to sleep, when they're going to be happy in a little bouncy thing next to me, when they're going to be eating, then I have freedom to schedule the calls I need to have or the time in front of my computer. So having that routine saved me. I had a book that I followed, which I give to everyone I know is pregnant because it saved my life. It's called 12 Hours by 12 Weeks. And like clockwork, both my kids, by the time they were 12 weeks old, slept 12 hours through the night without a feeding, without waking up, straight 12 hours.
Wow.
Yes. And it's not like crazy cried out. It's just like using a schedule and logic and weaning feedings and like it made sense and it worked for everyone I've ever given it to.
Okay, so that's something I need to add to my registry right now.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Perfect. So now that you've been able to build in a routine, were there any other systems you had to put in place within your business, as well as how did you start balancing your travel schedule with parenting?
The travel schedule definitely lightened up at that time when they were younger, but, I've had my first travel. I think my daughter was 8 months old, and I had to travel to Brazil, actually. So it was like I cried when I left, and I'm not a crier, but I was so upset to leave her for that long. But, thankfully, I have support. I have a lot of support. I have, my husband who, has his own business, so he works from home, and then I had au pairs, and au pairs are the best thing in the world because it's like a live-in nanny, but not the cost of a live-in nanny at all.
Beautiful. Okay, so that's other things that we can consider. I know, like, even for me, I've just been trying to brainstorm and think about, okay, are we going to go the daycare option? Are we going to do the nanny? Like all these different things. And there's so many amazing resources that we have nowadays that you can try to fit into your schedule or fit into your workload to make your life manageable, if that makes sense.
Yes,
That's
yeah, there
beautiful.
really are. I mean, the more support you can get, the better, because again, then you have predictable, dedicated time to your business. And let me tell you, you learn to work a lot more efficiently when you have little ones, which is a good thing.
Right. Now, how was it for you in terms of asking for help during that time, right? When they were younger and it was a little bit harder to manage, was it easy for you to ask for help, or was that something that I know like a lot of women struggle with? Like even through pregnancy, having to go through that, it's like, okay, you shouldn't be lifting that C-set. It's like, but I can do it. It's like, no, take the help. So how were you
Yeah.
able to adjust with that?
I did not take the help while I was pregnant. I would lift whatever. Like, don't tell me, don't prove that I can't do it because I'm pregnant. But afterwards, asking for help was a little bit difficult because I felt guilty. Even, having an au pair in my house, like the baby's still in my house, but I would feel guilty, like, "Oh, I wasn't there for when she was crying that time, or I wasn't there for, I don't know, she got sick and I couldn't be there all the time." Um, Mom guilt is such a thing, and it definitely affects, I hate to say it, women more than men, at least from what I've seen.
And so what did you have to do to be able to get through that mom guilt? Or what is some advice that you would give a mother that may be feeling that mom guilt?
I still feel it. I don't think it ever goes away. Right now, I usually tell myself, like, I want my daughter to see an example of a woman who can support herself, a woman who is dependent, a woman who does work hard. So I look at that as like, what positive traits am I showing, like through what I'm doing with work? And then the other thing is, you know what? being aware, like, is my pendulum swinging too far in the work direction and it's really sacrificing and hurting my family, then I need to make some adjustments.
That's a good way to look at it. I think that's beautiful. So,
Mhm.
for someone who is so goal oriented and moving so much, what would you say to the women who have probably got like the similar advice, like now that they're going into this motherhood journey, that their dreams have to stop, that their goals have to stop? What would you say to those people who are saying that to them?
Yeah, they don't have to stop, period, at all. You just have to take a slightly different road than you did before. But that's okay because if you're goal driven and you're really ambitious, you're gonna solve that problem. You're gonna figure out exactly what it's supposed to look like for you. You absolutely can keep going. And in a lot of ways, having kids makes you more creative and more observant, and it gives you another phase of life that you can relate to with whoever you're serving as a client.
Mm. I think that's one thing I've learned. Like I've spoken with a couple of women where they're saying like now they're a little bit more empathetic, but also the
Mhm.
client experience has changed because now they understand it a little differently. They understand the client stories and how now they want to tell their stories behind the camera. This
Yes.
experience has been able to help them with that. So how
Mhm.
would you say creatively, how has your children changed the way that you see your art and the work that you create?
You know, I don't consider myself a creative person to begin with. That's why I said some people say it helps them creatively because I did not experience like some magical glow and creative boost. Like I definitely didn't get that, but that's not my personality. I'm very logical. For me, it helped me learn to automate more, which is great.
Mm,
Helped me learn to become more efficient. Honestly, even like now, so my kids are at school right now. And this is like my time, which is certainly much more than I ever was before having both kids at the house for a whole school day. Fantastic. But now I like think, okay, I need to work. So how can I work more efficiently during this time? And you've been seeing me like sip this pink thing. I find things that I know are going to give me an energy boost. This is like a cortisol something, caffeine and other, amino acids or whatever that help give you the energy boost. But now I'm like religious about it because I'm not going to waste my time that I have to work by like half an hour in. I'm like, I'm tired. And then I'm really slow. Like, no, I don't have time for the slow. I need to take this now.
So what other systems and automations did you have to put in place in your business to make these things move smooth for you?
A lot of it was things like 17 Hats, for example, which is my client management system. I wasn't using it to the fullest capacity. Did I have it? Yes, but I wasn't like putting drip email campaigns in there. I wasn't automating things like ManyChat and triggers and social media. I wasn't scheduling my social media. Like there's so many things you can do so many things when it comes to scheduling, but if you have the time in your head, you think, well, it's just faster if I just do it, right? But when you have kids, you're like, wait a minute, I have a lot less time and potentially a lot less time that you feel like working anyway, because you actually do like your kids, God forbid, right? You actually do want to spend time with them. So then you're like, you know what? Let me analyze this. Like, how can I use my time more wisely and stop doing the mundane work that I don't like doing anyway?
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that's one thing even for me, I'm like, okay, let me make sure all my systems are in place. Me and my assistant have had a lot of conversations of this is what this transition may look like. We're open to the change, of course, but it's like those are things that you do have to start to consider because you want things to continue to work smooth and move smooth, especially as you're going through that transition. So
Hmm.
with someone like you who travels over 150 days out of the year, whoa! One, I'm sure you enjoy traveling to be able to do it that much, but how have you been able to balance that with motherhood, and have you included your children in any of your travels?
And so that's the thing. So last year I did 150 days. Year before I did 120, and 120 was okay-ish. 150 last year, not okay-ish. So this year I'm at 118. So that is a good example of, you know what, I have to adjust. So I have to start saying no to a lot of things. And it's just, monitoring it and seeing if it's okay. But as my kids get older, I can't wait, and they're not quite there yet. My daughter's almost there. My daughter's 10, but I can't wait till I can just be like, "Girl, we're going to Nashville. I gotta do this talk. You're gonna sit in the audience, and you can read a book if you want while I talk, but I wanna bring you with me." I
Right.
can't wait for that. I am all for it. They're already big thing, look up how to pay your kids. That's extremely important. My kids both have Roth IRA accounts already. They've been getting paid since they were infants. So they'll have their retirement savings like done by the time they even understand the concept of retirement savings, or at least, understand the value. So they're already a part of my business. And I just can kind of keep making them more and more and more.
That's beautiful. So are there any other things, and that right there is a huge gem in terms of investment and investing and starting your kids early, especially as an entrepreneur. Are there any other investment accounts that you would recommend, like a 529 or any other things like that that you would recommend?
I do have a 529 for both of the kids. I put in like $100 a month. It's not a ton, a little bit, but I'm also very anti-college. I don't
I mean,
I just think unless you're gonna be a lawyer or a doctor, or you actually need the degree to legally perform the thing that you wanna be, I really just think it's a waste of money. It's funny, just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I can show you the message on here. So I run a mastermind for, photographers specifically, but really any small business owner that's in the creative field or the wedding world. And what I do is a 16-week mastermind that is just teaching how to run a business. It's the things that colleges really don't teach anyway. But just the other week, or yesterday, I'm sorry, I had somebody that decided to withdraw her enrollment from a college that would have taken her 4 semesters to learn the photography business and take my mastermind instead. And I'm going to be able to teach her every bit of all of
exactly.
that, beforehand. So anyway, I'm a little anti-college because of that. So I do 529, but the biggest thing that I do for them is I pay my kids. It's another concept I teach in the mastermind. I teach a lot of tax strategy, but having kids gives you a great tax advantage. Right now, you can pay them up to, as an employee, you should be paying them as an employee from an LLC or an S corp, up to $14,000 a year right now. And I think right now the Roth IRA cap is 5 grand a year. So 5,000 of that can go into a tax sheltered, you don't pay taxes when you take it out. You don't get a tax break when you put it in, but they're not making enough to pay taxes anyway. So that doesn't matter. So you put 5,000 of that into a Roth IRA, and then the remaining amount, you can do whatever you want with it as long as it's for the kid. Like it's their money. So you can buy their toys with it. You can pay for their private school. If you send them to private school, you can pay for their daycare with it, their, whatever it is that's for them. And that's one of the best things that I do. So I actually do, my kids do go to a private school. So they help pay for that private school. They have the Roth IRA, and then I also have savings accounts for them that gain interest. And then probably next up, I'm gonna open up some mutual funds in their account. That was just all spread around, right? You've got the 529, you got the tax benefits there, but you're also getting a tax deduction for everything because you're paying your kids. That's a business expense, so that's a really big one. And then you can help it grow, and then you have a savings account. They can use it however they want. Maybe they don't want to go to college. They can just use it to start a business. Um, so it gives them a little bit more freedom than the 529.
And I think that's the beautiful thing, as when you're an entrepreneur and you are business focused as you're in your business, right? There are things that you can start to implement to make sure that your kids are set up, right? Because
Hmm.
oftentimes we're not taught these things. We're not taught about any of these things in schools, right? Even I got my degree in photography, and till this day, I tell my dean it was a waste of money, And I had a conversation with him a couple months ago, and he's like, yeah, I want you to come and teach some classes. And I'm like, here's what I wish I learned getting the degree at your school. And he's like,
Yes,
no, like that makes a lot of sense. And it's like, yeah, I'm like, we're not set up for the business world. I'm like, yeah, we can learn a lot about the creative side, but that doesn't set you up for how to pay taxes, how to run your business, how to sign up for LLC, all these
yeah,
different things, And being able to do these strategies, like you said early on, once you have your children and being able to start them early, all that's going to do is set them up for financial success, but also give them that financial literacy that they're going to miss in schools that schools don't provide. That's
they don't.
beautiful.
They don't. Love that you know all that.
Awesome, awesome. So now that we've talked about all those things, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I just want to ask a couple more questions. For any woman who is as busy as you, who travels as much as you do, who does so much, what is one piece of advice that you would give to them Because I know you said like you were afraid and you thought that you couldn't have like you couldn't manage having children. Now that you've been able to do that and still manage your businesses, what is one big piece of advice that you would give them if they are scared to take that leap?
If you're scared to take that leap, and this sounds so cliche, but like think of your life in 30 years. Think if you are childless and you're living in a penthouse somewhere and you sip wine every night and it's wonderful. That sounds great, but then go 10 more years or 20 more years. And then you have no legacy to pass on or no one to pass on your legacy to, no one to take care of you when you're older. And more importantly, you don't have the memories of like a really full life. And I hate to say it like this because if you choose not to have kids, like you absolutely can have a full life. Like let's not be let's not exaggerate this a little bit. But most people on their deathbeds aren't thinking like, man, I really should have worked instead of had kids. You only hear it the other way around. Man, I really should have started a family. So just pull off the Band-Aid. Like if you're on the fence, just jump off. Like you're gonna figure it out. The fact that you're even thinking about it and you're worried about it tells me you care about it, so you're gonna figure it out.
Right. Beautiful. And for those that are trying to figure it out, right? We know that there's no such thing as balance, especially when it comes to this business world. So for
Nope,
those that
just
fear
a
that,
pendulum.
right, just a pendulum. So what would you say to those that are struggling with this idea of like it needs to look a certain way or it needs to be like this? What would you tell them in terms of keeping their one, giving themselves grace, but knowing that it's okay to be flexible and it's okay to pivot in this next
Mhm.
chapter?
Yeah, we're not giving birth to robots. We're not having robots as children, although I really wish I did sometimes. But, you have more humans. It's just more humans in your life. And it's okay also for your why in life to change. That was a big thing I struggled with. Like my why in life is, oh, serving my clients or my business or whatever. And I had a really hard time thinking about having kids because I was like, well, I don't want my goals to be different. And I remember I was in therapy and she was like, well, why? Like, why can't you change? Why can't you change your why? And the truth is, like, you can, and it's okay.
Mm, mm. Now, did you go through any identity crisis, right? I know, like, when you're a business owner, we're known as we have these titles of photographer, educator, and all these things. And now that you have to add this new title, sometimes clients or people on the outside make this motherhood title outweigh or overweigh every other title, and you're no longer who you were before. You're just this. Did you have any of challenges going through that?
I did not. I really compartmentalized quite a bit. I don't really post my kids. I think the most I really posted of my kids were like their newborn photos. I definitely posted those. Oh my gosh, I have a story. Do you want a story, B?
Of course, yes.
So I forgot about this till now. I post my daughter, my firstborn, her newborn photos, and I have my best friend take them, who is also a newborn photographer. And this local newborn photographer did my daughter and ripped this best friend of mine a new one, like, "Oh, these are horrible, blah, 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 blah. She should have hired me to do it." And I'm like, you sound like an asshole. I'm so glad I didn't hire you. It was like this crazy thing. But honestly, from that, it's kind of like I learned my lesson. Like, okay, we're not posting a lot of kids. So I did post my son's newborn photos. Every once in a while, you'll see them in my stories. Rarely will you see them in like a static post unless it's like a family picture that was professionally done. Yeah, so I compartmentalize, especially in the wedding world, and even in the corporate world a lot. They're like like you said, they don't wanna see that you have kids. They wanna see that you are able to be 100% dedicated to them. So, that's okay. I don't have to show my family life all over the internet.
And so what would you say to the woman who fears or who believes that they don't want to hide that I have a family or all those different things, or like you can have a
Yeah.
separate Instagram that no one knows about, you know?
You can, and I do, have one, but also the other thing too is if you want it to meld into your identity and you want your identity to now be the family that you created, then do that. Because yes, will you deter some people? 100%, but you'll be deterring the jerks and you'll be attracting the people who are like-minded, and those are the people you want for clients anyway. So that's okay. You can absolutely choose to do that. Just beware the crazy people.
and there's a lot of them out there, you know.
There
So
are. Yes.
the joys of living in this world is there's crazy people out
So
there,
true.
and there's no way you can escape them. So
No, you really can't.
so awesome. Well, Vanessa, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing this side of your story with me. I know that I've learned so much in this, and I know that another creative mom out there is going to be motivated and inspired by your journey. So, Vanessa, again, thank you so
Yeah.
much for your time.
My pleasure. And if anybody else has any more baby questions, by all means, I will try to look. And if you post questions on the podcast, I will definitely look. And then if you're interested in the mastermind that I do,
Yes.
because that definitely helps like put everything in order so that you can run a very systemized business so that you can spend time with your family and ultimately, work to live, not live to work. Just go to my Instagram, which is Vanessa Joy, well, at Vanessa Joy, Vanessa, and just DM me the words photo mastermind. Photo mastermind. It'll get you in there.
Awesome. I know I'm going to chop in, and I hope everyone else tunes in because we need all these gems. So, again, Vanessa, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Baby Bump and Business. I hope today's conversation reminded you that you're not alone in this journey and that there's so much power in building something beautiful while becoming someone new. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate, review, or share it with another mama or creative who needs the encouragement. Your support helps this community grow and lets more stories like ours be heard. To stay connected and get updates on real episodes and real talk from creative moms like you, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Baby Bump and Business. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and give yourself all the grace that you deserve.